The greatest gift that I got was from Bo, because Bo taught me how to write. Bo is, as far as I'm concerned, the scribe of Narcotics Anonymous. And if y'all don't know that, you should know that. He says, well, no, it's Narcotics Anonymous. No, Bo is the scribe for Narcotics Anonymous. It's how I always see him. It's how I think of him. It's what I believe to be true about him. I had a few days clean, and he said, well, you need to start writing. And I said, to who? And he said, well, to yourself. I was like, well, okay. He said, because you don't know anybody else yet. And I sat in his print shop in the middle of the night, and he handed me a pen and a piece of paper. And that has started a journey that has been incredible. And every time I pick up a basic text, Bo Sewell is in every page of it. And I'm grateful. I love you. You're my heart. And this is Bo.
And the pictures. Well, I'm really appreciate that, Casey. You're one of my real sisters in this life. The powers of guilty is a fine reality, and I think what happens to us in our using is that we get we lose our grip on reality, obviously, from all the drugs. And when you can't find reality past the point, they put you in jail or bury you or put you in a hospital. And, the road back is still like a real God-given, mysterious thing to me. And, I was, when I share up here, my experience means hope, and it's not necessarily right or wrong, it's just the best I can come up with right now. And from past experience, we're dealing with unimportant details and crapola from the past. I'm going to try to believe as much as that, and I'll share the things that the fearful part of me doesn't want you to know about. Not that they're bad things, but I mean they're very close to my heart. For one thing, I was sort of twisted by the fact that as I grew up, I became more and more aware that my dad's dad, my grandfather, had committed suicide. And that was all the more bad because he'd been a multi-millionaire on the gold standard. So I grew up wondering, well, money must not be the answer, more than most people would because of that. And also, if you're rich or famous or whatever, I'm not rude and polite, I hope, but I'm not necessarily impressed by money or a title. I remember when I was a kid, I met Eddie Martin, a country music star, and he was at the edge of the athletic field at Georgia Tech. And he was just a guy standing there. He was nice to me. He wasn't too nice, but he was just, just a regular guy. And he was in the music business, made songs. We didn't talk a hell of a lot. We just kind of stood together, 5 or 10 minutes. But he gave me a feel. And I think what must have happened with me, for one thing, I harvested a field of rabbit back when we put it in jars. Maybe that's fanatic, I went around, drank the after-dinner drinks after the New Year's party the next morning, eating the beers and had cigarette butts in them. You just kind of have to hold them right. And maybe that's an addict. I made my own home brew when I was like 13 or 14 years old, sugar and water on the raisins and sugar and water on the windowsill, plus 9 days. The raisins come to the top. You kind of pour off the mash and do it again. Put that extra sugar in the bottom, watch it disappear. Turn down alcohol. So maybe that was addictive behavior. Or maybe it was the night that I moved out from my folks and I was staying on the Baltimore block and watching beatniks down around. Because I really like beatniks because you can sit around and drink coffee talk about anything. And I was 14, and they were like 18 and 20 and 30, you know. And I could talk to them about things, and if I tried to talk to my teenage friends about those things, they would just, you know, what's he talking about? And so maybe I was like looking for somebody to talk to way back then. I'm convinced if they had been in my environment, I would probably gravitate to it. You know, we got a recent interest in Stoicism because the Stoa was like an outdoor place where people came and talked. And I think that whole philosophy evolved and pre-Christian. But I had more than the normal amount of questions when I was a kid. When I moved down on the block, I lived down there a good many months, and there was a speed junkie from New York City, and Mary Anderson, who was Bill Anderson's sister, would write the script. She'd get the script from the doctor for diet pills or whatever. Shelby, the newspaper editor, would pay for it, and then Ron would do about 90% of them. And Ron told us that he was an ex-ballet dancer from the San Francisco Ballet Troupe. In the middle of his, you know, speed talk, that would flash by every now and then. We kind of, you know, really? But then he started teaching us ballet. And then somebody saw him on a late night movie, you know, on the screen at the end of the movie and said, San Francisco Ballet Company. So maybe he was, I'm not real sure. But, you know how it is in our world. Some things are more fantastic than others, but it doesn't mean they're untrue. And and he also said, well, I was down in Florida, Texas, and I was in jail with this guy that said out at an alligator ranch. He's going to send some peyote from old Mexico next time we run down there. And he said, just sent it last week, so I'll be here anytime. We went on. Somebody sold the pink slip, tried to damn swipe the dope, and they wouldn't let them have it in the post office for one guy. So we all cut it up and ate the peyote. I mean, that was evidence of addiction. And stay high all night and play house with people and light on the ceiling, and we have let notes on cars here, they'll be right back. It's very spooky. And he also said that I was emotionally selfish, which I thought was very discerning for anybody to say. And I think that it is like a lot of us. I just feel things so passionately that if I'm not careful, I get overwhelmed with my emotions and stuff. So I try to pick people that I feel safe with, you know, before I share my heart, because well, in hell, you don't want to be crying in front of a bunch of your enemies and stuff, right? I mean, I guess you could, but, you know, I'm weird, but I ain't that weird. But anyway, so years passed, and my first lover was out of that crowd. She was 19, I was 14. And 7 years later, she became my second wife. And so I read Stephen King's book called, can't think of the name of it, it'll come to me. I remember it was one of the Richard Bachman series. But it was about this plague. It was a science fiction thing. Some kid made inventions, and it was supposed to be good, but it wound up killing everybody on the planet. But in the early part of it, he's talking about this one guy being like a genius, but his compass would wander, and he could never really settle on anything. And any kind of thing he tried to do, he could do and do rather well, but he just couldn't hold the interest in it. And then finally it worked on something, and then he said, Steve King said that in the book, that's kind of like the way it is for some people, because they finally found their true north, and after that they're goal-directed. Well, that's the way I am with Narcotics Anonymous. Because every damn thing, I mean, college, the beatniks, the hippies, marching against the war, getting shot out of the plan, all that fits in with being an NA member. A little bit of college. I mean, I made an F on my first exam in English 101. made an A+ on my 7th. I just climbed the scale of, F, B, C, D, A+. And he walked over to the desk and said, "What happened here, Miss Gould?" And I said, "Well, apparently you taught me how to write a theme." Which, another way of saying stay on the subject. My mind still wanders sometimes. But I do know that thematic structure, at least knowing about it. And so I went there for 2.5 years, but on the way to school one day, I had a motorcycle wreck, and I laid up for a couple of months still doing block my cousin, and I went back to college. Also, since I didn't go back to college, I was not qualified for the draft, so the draft was sent me a notice, which made me a little nervous. And this is just my take on it, right? This may not be real, it might be very real. My objection to going to Vietnam was that while I might be good in killing people, it might not be good for me. And plus, I really didn't want to do it. I had heard the football scores given one night, and rising football scores, they said, and 50 U.S. killed, and 500 South Vietnamese, and 5,000 North Vietnamese. And the very next night, more football scores, and 75 Americans killed, 750 South Vietnamese, and 7,500 North Vietnamese. I realized the figures were just bogus. Crap. And I got real suspicious that I might develop to not trust our national government too much. And years later, with this situation on my hands, I thought, well, you know what, I could just try real hard to dodge crap, and then if I make it, then fine, I'm off the hook. And if I don't, I'll just get my gun and go murder people. Try to come through alive, no names. And so this one friend of mine, Dave Baker, his dad had David Audio in mind, we did some of those together. But he gave me a list of things to do when you go down to the airport so that they don't take you. Like see bleeding things on the ceiling, and they'll set you out in a little room, and they come in, act like nothing to them, and you hear and just say, when you hear it, say, "I can't hear nothing." Stop speaking and go like, "There it is." It's similar things. And so they sent me a psychiatrist. This guy's talking about how much good he is in the service is going to do. He says, "What do you do?" He has me down to psychomotor services. He says, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I trade newspapers." And he said, "How many do you throw?" I said, 500 or not. Well, I mean, you can't do that with psychomotor services. You can't. You do the math. You get the papers that see they got to be delivered by 6. But I'm really kind of an ignorant, And so when I got TNA, I think the first thing, I ran a nonprofit thing down the strip that lasted for 2 years. The last year it got so crazy and so rough that a couple of times I became famous on 611 Park News. And you would tell your boyfriend that I'd kiss your ass or something, and then he'd want to beat my ass and get me down an alley and be like attacking me. And I fought my way out of it, and I've been a fighter in school and all that, like star wrestling and all that. But I started getting nervous because sooner or later, the guys are getting bigger, and I started carrying a gun. And I had a lot of restraint. I mean, one biker, beat me up and down the sidewalk, and I beat him down. I said, "Lieutenant, I don't know what the hell this is about. With 5 minutes, I'll shot you by now." He looked down with 6 gun. He said, "Let's go over here." I said, "Okay." And I never even found out what the fight was about. I mean, that's how it was down there. The main thing I learned in those 2 years is that there was no hope anywhere on the planet Earth for anti-secret government. No hope anywhere, not in Tibet, not in Europe, Central, not Atlanta. And that's scary, because I think part of my little addictive imagination I was predicated that there was something out there, that you can go on to, but really there's nothing. And that bothered me. And read this book called The Beats. That's B-E-A-T-S, for anybody who transcribes this tape, not B-E-E-T-S. And, like beatniks. And there was a chapter in there on Synanon. And it said that it met in the building where chapter of Narcotics Anonymous held its meetings. So that was the first time I knew the name. And then years later, when I was on the strip, I called it Chuck Dietrich and flew out and visited Synanon. Played some Synanon games. But that was before they started putting rattlesnakes in mailboxes. But I heard first, I was asked about the 12 steps. I guess a lot of people have a 12-step story. I said, what are these steps? Is that a ladder or something? Keep talking about the steps. And I'd never heard of them. And I'm still drinking on the strip, of course. I mean, nobody ever suggested I might be, like not doing that. Or rented it to some extent. Well, chug-lugging just carrying the big gun. Never shot anybody. But it's just a miracle. So right at the end of that is when I first called Narcotics Anonymous, really seeking help from me, actually. And there was no listing in Atlanta. So I called around, called AA. Somebody there said they knew somebody that might have a white booklet and blah, blah, blah. So I got a copy of that and helped 7 meetings. That was 1971. And then my clean date is July 10th, 1974. I got married again. Marriage slowly fell apart again. And got divorced again. And right at the end of it is when I started, I went over to where I had gone to one of the AA meetings with a guy that had been my vice president. And Jim. And he's been in that program all these years. I started going there about a month later. I mean, within a week I was going to a meeting a day, just checking it out. I didn't have anything else to do. And within 9 days they made me coffee chair. That was July. Sometime in August, they had the NA meeting out in Pittsburgh. And I didn't want to go to that, but I did. And I liked it. I kept going back for 5 years. So slowly, over a period of time, over 3 years, we went from 1 meeting a week to 2 meetings a week to 3 meetings a week to 4 meetings a week to 5 meetings a week. And I went to a meeting a day. I went to 110 meetings in the first 90 days. And every time there was a new NA meeting, I'll drop on the AA meetings. And finally, after 3 years, I was going to 7 meetings a week, all NA. Well, all of a sudden, we're being talked about, NA, and who's working on this, or their book, where's WSO, or whatever it is, where's Group Conscious, we had a coffee of the tree. And we weren't getting real clear answers from the West Coast, so we flew out there in 77, and to World Convention in San Francisco. And in that 3 years, and I think this is very telling and very important, I was really scared that there was something good to get in NA. I mean, if you really wanted to, and that you had to work the steps to get it. I was afraid that I would rush ahead and get so involved in the other crap that I wouldn't get recovery. I'd never really worked my steps. So I just agonized over surrender. I mean, I doubled what step 2 and got me a whole new belief system. I mean, God is a sheep. And I checked it all out. And I'd never done that before, and it was very revealing. And naturally, I had fear and inhibition. I didn't want to do it, but I did anyway. Because I wanted to be one of the ones that did walk out the door. I wanted to stay clean, see what all this was about. It was the most interesting thing in the world to me. No more than just the level of wanting recovery for myself. Hell, in the first 9 months, it was kind of hard for me to imagine what recovery did. I was drinking, but I didn't give a fuck about it. I mean, I get drunk. There was no compulsion. As far as I know, I've never done any DTs or anything. It was not hard to put down. You got to not right to go to these meetings like who's he do. And I stopped shooting drugs earlier. And that was different. I didn't talk for about 2 years. And after those one, in this 3 years that I was really working my steps, step 4, 5, 6, and 7, and step 7 being above King's Green, I'm sure you get to be another person. Steps work, you get to be another person. You stop being yourself, get to be new stuff. Maybe it's yourself where the dreams come true. And I think the steps move from the inside to the outside, really through cosmos. But you start with the surrender, the additions, you change your belief system. Your mind filters the eye cannot see or the ear cannot hear, that which the mind cannot contain. And so when you clear your system, then you can start seeing things that are really there and stop seeing the hallucinations. And and I think God works the fourth step when you turn your life and your will over. Because what addict could be fearless and thorough about anything? And, Eggman extend the process. So anyway, I took all this real serious because I didn't want to get loaded. I mean, everybody that came to NA in 1974 got loaded except me. And there's very damn few. Go to conventions. I mean, 20, 30 years, 29, 28, nobody hardly ever stands up. So, it's sad, my hope of this weekend is that this will be a step towards cessation of the infighting and the hatred and backstabbing and the stuff that we suffer from. I told some of the people that upset at the conference here, I said, let these people go. They need to damn hear each other talk. They need to get over that shit. Put closure on it, process it, let's get on with it. I mean, a lot of really good things have happened, a lot of really good people have died. We don't need to be living in the past. I mean, it's no legacy. It's Jimmy K. Jimmy K is a friend of mine. It's no legacy. Hatred is not supposed to be part of his legacy. Jimmy would not approve. I'll just tell you that. As far as all this stuff about the office, I write about this stuff and this, that, and the other. So I'm not even going to try out my little scenario of what happened with the key at the office. Well, maybe I should have said, but I'll keep it brief. I think Bob Stone came in there. Jimmy had not dropped out of the office for a few days. And Bob Stone found out that a lot of people had keys to the office, so he got new keys made, probably one for Jimmy, and Jimmy hadn't picked it up yet. But the moment that he hit the door was locked, and he felt he was locked out and left. So there was no chance to rush out and say, here's your key, Jimmy. Everybody expected, and my group, everybody expected Jimmy to stay on and play a symbolic leadership role, and we were all happy to acquiesce to that. But like it's been otherwise said on the tape, we'd beg Jimmy, I'd call him, written, come by his place and ask him to please, get involved, write something. We want to put part of another look, which is his story, into the basic text. It's a perfect place. Plug it right in. He wouldn't do that. So that's why we just accepted the script. The best thing about acceptance is you don't have to understand. You just accept it and get to go on. So it's kind of pitiful. Doug F. came up to me and said, you got to get Jimmy involved in the book. I said, well, that's a marvelous idea. Doug, we never thought of that. Why don't you help with that? Because we called it and written it into the house many times. We don't seem to be getting anywhere, so maybe you can do it. Well, anyway, he's been pissing me ever since. I can understand that. But anyway, I'm not pissed at anybody. I'm not pissed at him. I'm not pissed at anybody else. We just need to stop fighting. It's bad for our children in recovery. It confuses them, and it makes them think that Oldtimers really can hate each other. And I hope that's not so. Because I do believe in the recovery process. So, and it always confused us, and I said this at lunch and I'll say it now because it's one of the things I was talking about earlier that I wouldn't want to share. I asked Greg Pierce years later why the Californians were so upset with us. And what he said, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but what Greg Pierce actually said, being a Californian, from California, he said, well, their time to write the book came, and they tried and found it to be impossible. In their experience, therefore, when they see you all doing it, it pisses them off because you're doing the impossible, so you must be up to something. So I thought, well, I'll store that away for future reference. But, I would surely like to think that all the people that get to get things, say things, and at least have a chance to influence their spiritual life is a great replacement for that flood of people that used to come and leave, and 50 people show up, 49 would leave. Because that's where it used to be. And we used to have people cruising through our rooms laughing at us, picking up chicks. And the NA doesn't work, and you got to go to AA for real recovery. I told them, Lord, this writing on the book, I said, if you want that to stop, help us get the book done. And so I just want it to be known in the general fellowship, and so, just mark it down. The people that wrote your basic text, and I'm one of them, had something, you can't say about outcomes, because in a way we were willing to fail. But what we talked about and verbalized among ourselves was like, well, if we're going to fail, we're going to get a running start and hit that ball so hard that when our brains splatter everywhere, somebody's better than us, is smarter than us, and we're able to do it, we'll come forward and get the ball rolling. And, God gave us the looks. What did I say? I hope you don't think we wrote it. We were there. But we prayed to be used as an instrument. The real lit prayer was God, free me from self-will and ego and give me sufficient strength and guidance to do your footwork. And at that point, get the word out. So we wrote a letter, the word went out. Office, WSO. Jimmy Jennings said, you are on the WSO lit committee. You are on the Board of Trustees lit committee. Write us a letter, Bo, because I've been writing stuff at CNN, because I've met Greg in San Francisco. And that's what we do, and that's what I did. So I wrote a little letter. I said, well, why am I writing a letter? Why don't you guys write it? I ain't nothing. I ain't elected anything. And that's when Jenny said I was on one of those boards. And I said, well, I don't remember the election, but if you say I'm on there. So I wrote this letter, and I lucked out that day. I got successfully insulting. The key line I've been told in the letter was that the reason we don't have a book is because nobody's really tried yet, or they just don't know the need. And that pissed them off just enough to get them right without making them walk away. So, and that's what somebody told me. But, and then I had studied Dale Carnegie because, just being a kid, I remember when I was 16, I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. And the key principle in there, and he evaluated everything. What's the key, come on people, what's the key urge for our species? What is the deepest craving in human nature? What is the deepest craving? Is it food? Is it sex? Is it money? What is the deepest craving in human nature? The craving to be appreciated. Most of us, if we're ever really appreciated, react with tears. Most of us come from families where addiction is born. And Mama thinks I'm good for cutting the yard. To this day. All this other stuff confuses her. And I did cut the yard, and I'm really good at it. Not often, though. But anyway, so when people would send in, if you wrote me a little 2 or 3 paragraphs after I was selected for a lit chair through a sequence, I think mainly over the 100 pages that I wrote. Not that it was good. I don't know that many people read it, but it was from an addict. It was 100 pages, so, the baby lit chair. And the conference, most people don't know about the other 2 big committees I was on, the WSO Lit Committee and the WSD. But, think of them as like I was a soldier and then like little medals, or something, decorations for service, but not killing people. And so we tried to be kind of fat-footed and commonsensical about it. I'd write you a letter back so good that you would be dying for your husband to come home, or for your wife to come home. Well, honey, where I live, letterhead. I got a little letter from the lit committee today. we enjoyed your input terrifically. We sent out to all of our friends, and it's very important that you keep writing and doing more stuff to help us. We're so grateful. And here's some people close to you that you can contact, their contact information. And by the time you got through showing the letter to your girlfriend, there that night she thought, I could write some more stuff. And they did. And I kept, saying, well, we got another 5 or 10 pages in today, or, we got 200 pages, and then it's 400 and 500. And for some reason, that didn't make any sense to the Californians. So, if you're having trouble getting results, you vary your approach, right? So I put it into pounds. I said, well, we have about 20 pounds of input. And they were like, 20 pounds? That's a lot! And came a real deal. And there was a little bit of showmanship involved because I wanted the conference people to know that we really were getting input. So at the next conference I went to, I had all these files in a big Foot Locker, $3 Foot Locker you get at places, Walmart and stuff. So it's like full of all these files and stuff. So I lug it into the conference like this. So all these other conference attendees were watching like, what the hell's he in my box? And I set the box over there and left the lid open, and it's kind of like, they'd be subtle about it. You could see them homing in on that box, looking down in there. And it really was input from the fellowship for the basic text. And we had a first conference in, I was elected in 79, and I felt like group consciousness was the way to go from the beginning, so I asked the conference to set the site, and they said it in Wichita, because it's that distance between coasts, and about 25 people showed up, and we had a little place in the community center in downtown Wichita. That's where Liv Erickson from, along with all the corn and cows. And locals call it Wichita, Kansas. So we worked very hard that weekend, and we did minutes on how to form WIC committee, minutes on how to do a newsletter, minutes on possible chapters of the basic text, minutes on how do you fundraise within traditions, and all that. Anyway, it was kind of a fantastic thing to see. The minutes were incredibly rough shape. And they were very hard to decipher, so they couldn't do them in Wichita, so they sent us, I couldn't get someone to do them or such and such to do them. Finally, I wound up going through the minutes, and they were undecipherable, except for the cover page. And, but I could put together what they were saying, because I had been there, and I was the chair, and I had interacted with the committees and sat in on them. So I started writing down all the stuff, putting it into prose. And it turned into quite a few sheets of paper. It was typewritten. And so I had a printer buddy in Marietta, and he said, y'all ought to do a booklet with all that stuff. He's an old country boy named Philip Page. And I said, a booklet, that'd be too hard. We couldn't do that. And he said, no, it ain't nothing, man. Just type it up. We'll have it typeset over here at Marietta Reaper Graphics. I'll print it on my own press for you. Give me the price. Do 1,000 copies. And so that's what we did. And so that's how the handbook for NA committees was born. Because we just kept plugging away and didn't give up. And then, amazingly, that got approved at the conference. We thought it was going to be a $2 a copy fundraiser for the World Lit Committee because we had no subsidy, no funds. They had to come up every dollar, every stamp, every envelope, every piece of paper out of our own pockets. And we were later, about a year later, reimbursed with receipts only. So we thought that was kind of typical. But to us, our people were dying. And so while we tried to keep a straight face through some of these scenarios, what we were really, it's kind of like Jews in Germany during World War II. You might be nice to Nazis, but it's not because you like them. Not that the West Coast is Nazis, but the funding and the other little things that happened and all was strange. And, you know, Jimmy, going back to Jimmy for a second, he was always very supportive and friendly and loving and terrific and making positive suggestions and all that. But my fantasy is that he had some buddies working on him, whispering shit into his ears. I don't know. But some of the stuff was pretty fantastic. You know how dope things are. And so that's what happened when it got left to my imagination. But anyway, we were not worried. Our main job, and from the holy books I studied, was the Book of the Dead, and looking at all this from a grave sad casket, was keep our eye on the ball and don't get distracted and pray for strength and guidance. And distraction was anything that would get us off the next positive thing we could do. So we just didn't get distracted. And we got the handbook done. Well, lo and behold, they thought so much of our work that even though it turned out way after the 90-day review period, they decided to approve it. So the $2 went to WSO. And we had to fund ourselves for the second year. And they messed around, they made me lit chair again. And so we set another conference site, and the conference decided where it's going to be. The next World Convention, this is an interesting fact about NA history that I don't think anybody knows because I never hear it brought up, is, you know, the AA program, you heard of that? They have a young people's component, and they have a convention, and so wherever, just by luck now, when the AA Young People's was in Southern California, that's where the NA World Convention went. And then when the Young People's AA Conference was in San Francisco, that's where the next year they have an NA convention. I've been told that. I haven't even checked it out. No, it's just a fucking rumor. The point of it, the good side, the important part of it, it's not a rumor, is once we started having these lit conferences, we had a lit conference in Wichita, and it got from San Francisco to Houston to Atlanta. I shared the Atlanta World Convention with no guidelines. Call California, give me some guidelines. There ain't none. Oh, God, you kidding? Call Houston, they might know something. Call Houston, they were all mad because they all fight after the convention, you know, the committees would. They set aside personal preference in favor of group purpose until the convention was over. Then they so these stuff they and that guy that chaired the Milwaukee World Convention, he was the one that actually sent us a bundle of input. And you know how many of his subcommittee chairs came forward and helped him write the input? Big fat zero. It made him so damn mad that he made a really good report on how to do merchandising, how to do hospitals and hospitality, and how to do program committee and the whole thing. And so what I did was elaborate on it. I chaired a world convention, he chaired a world convention, and he had a base document, so I elaborated on it. Then I found we had a group conference 6 months later at Memphis, and I said, we're going to play a game here. You all have all got copies of it. I'm going to read it, and I'll pass the reading around. And then I want you to write down, because at some point you're going to want to say, I'd like to say such and such. Throw your hand up. Well, before you throw your hand up, write down what you would say on a piece of paper. Then you can throw your hand up. And I'll keep my eyes on them. When you threw that hand up, I didn't see no writing back there. And so the trick was, you wrote down what you had to say about it. And then later, I had a stack of 20 or 30 sheets, copies of the document. That's what became the approved convention guidelines several years later. Because it's group conscious. I mean, by then I knew about the process. How to involve other people with it. It doesn't matter what I think. What the hell do I know? But you get 50 people together and get what they collectively think, now you've got something. It's interesting. And all the little discoveries are just thrilling. As you hear the process, it becomes addictively curious. And it'll draw you. But, so anyway, the second World Lit Conference was in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we had, this town, I think about maybe 50 people show up. We were all real poor. We just pooled our money and sent out for chili. And we just, you know, we were all hungry as hell and ate the chili. And we met at the campus of the Federal Building in downtown Lincoln. I'll squeeze it in, honey. There's lots of taste like this, so there ain't no shortage. But, So I'll try to put stuff that ain't on those pages in this. Now, so the Jim Inn set it up with the rhinos in downtown Lincoln, Nebraska, to not panhandle us, because we were writing a book. When the mom stopped us and said, okay. And one kid came in loaded, and was so rambunctious, and I kind of really surrendered. I could be arrested, but I could also surrender last year. And Bob D had showed up, and Greg P had showed up, our board of trustees. So we got our subcommittee that UC got good help from the trustees, and the system worked back then. And so anyway, this kid was loaded, and I didn't want to turn out. You know, I was chair. I could have gone to a couple of South fellows and said, I would be taken outside and have a little talk. I didn't do none of that because I'm in some lit conference, man. You don't want to be in a spoiled atmosphere. You know, we're not a bunch of thugs. So what happened was the most great thing that could have happened. You know, the guy's like talking out of his head a little bit and asking questions out of turn, wanting to talk for 10 or 15 minutes. Young lady sitting right here, she said, she realized nobody else was going to step into the moment, so she said, we're writing this book for you, but we're not going to let you stop us from writing it. So you need to go outside now. Got confused and went out. And that was good. And then I remember sitting right here, and this little cute Wichita gal came in, or Midwestern gal, cute woman out there. She sits down, she's fidgeting, you know. I tell her a little nervous. I said, you said you look prayer. She said, what's that? I said, well, for all these people, they said this prayer for God to remove the self-will and ego and give the strength and guidance to do His footwork. Look, we've printed out a piece of paper here. Once you take it out in the hall, do your lip prayer, and then come back in. She said, okay. So she leaves the paper about 5 minutes later. She comes back in. She's throwing her hands up. She's making hand foot and stuff because the ego's out of the picture. We all knew what the rules were. We agreed to them. We all surrendered to them. So it wasn't nuts. That might look nuts from the outsider, but you know, we were very careful about these things. And we would also do other things that probably looked like outsiders. One thing would be getting in people's face and asking how they really work a step, or like, well, you obviously have something to say. You're going to spit it out. You want to go out in the alley? We'll work it over some, huh? Just kidding. But when your body hears those words and sees that body language and shit, you say, well, blah, 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 I actually do so-and-so. Write it down. Thank you, sir. Write it down. It's what it works. Well, guess what? People that get out of universities and get a job at WSO out of a movie company maybe or something like that, guess what they think of that literary technique? They think we're insane. So that's what happens to our lit process. That's why the lit work that I'm doing for the fellowship right now, and I work on it every single day, is outside the structure. I mean, I can't exactly explain what happened, but I mean, we set World Lit to be a support system for addicts seeking recovery and people who want to do some good things contribute to our common welfare. And we no longer have a support system. Well, it's not there. The board trustees isn't there. We have to get anything done. We have to work outside the system. How do you like that, Mr. Tate? Well, that's the truth. And plus, we're making it. I mean, the stuff reads good. I get all teared up. I can talk about it okay, but when I read it, I get teared up. You know, so much love and caring, concern, visionaries. The Inner Way Life book is the application of spiritual principles. And it's a continuation of where the basic text left off. The basic text is basic because we were young then. We didn't get input on employment, so we didn't feel it was our place to make up nothing. We didn't get input on parenting, so we didn't think it was our place to make up nothing. We did get input on getting over abuse, neglect, and recovery. We didn't feel it was our place to make up anything. today, we get plenty of input on those things. We have 5 chapters. We've got a chapter on sex. So we call it a not so basic text for adults. And every week I ship more books than WSO shipped in the 20 years preceding the basic text. And I do it under the NA Foundation group. And we send surplus funds to WSO, and they send us nice little thank you notes. So we're happy. I hope they're happy. I hope you're all happy. And I hope that many good miracles come from this conference. There were other conferences, but like I say, you don't pack it. No, fair's fair. The sign says 5. Oh, please share your vision. She's helping me. My friends seem to understand these things. Please share your vision of the future of NA. And I first got married the first time. I've been married more 7 times. The first time, we went down to Rich's department store. We were going to buy a couch. When I walked in, I saw this couch. It looked good to me. I was ready to go right then. But I went around the store and looked at every other damn couch that was in the entire place. Came back to couch number 1, ordered it, and they shipped it. I think that's how the fellowship thinks. So when in fallow periods, I figured the fellowship's out so much thinking about it. And I do believe in waveforms of a lot of things, including our fellowship. And I think that the fellowship has come to a place now where they're starting to ask questions again, they're starting to think again, they're starting to evaluate answers and verify the now facts, supposed facts, purported facts. And we have a very interesting language within our NA society. I remember the years that we learned disinformation, and all that. And you know, if it's wrong data, it's wrong data. If it's information, it becomes a phone book. Try cutting up the phone book and putting each little piece of paper in a box. Now finding Mary Jones's phone number. You can't do it. It's not information. So we're coming into an era where people are hungry for real facts, and they're willing to sacrifice personal preference for group goals like we're all doing. And you know, I tell people, I say, anything the World Services is not doing, you do it. If you want a world director, you make a world director. Somebody here could go home, and tonight before morning, if you kept at it, you could find enough regional meeting lists to close the world director at Narcotics Anonymous and print out, go sleep. You'd be tired. But I mean, you know, in the old days, we couldn't do that. You know, if you say, you know, you need information out somewhere, you need some help with public information or literature or whatever, just innovate. I mean, we've got a history now. You got the page now. You can check out our techniques. I've written books on how the basic test was written, so you can access all that. If you have any trouble, ask Anonymous. I'll let this be my closing thing because this will be a good place to close it. There are more conferences. The one rule that I have that forcefully, I never kick anybody's ass over this or got them just thrown out of the committee over it. But our rule was that we never speak ill of others. Get that? Never. Why? Because it redounds on you. You may feel powerful for a moment or two, but you just don't see it coming. But if you speak ill, or if you actually wish harm to somebody else, then you're going to have 4 flat tires in a row. That's where when you don't do that, that's when you have them good days. So all of us try to be careful about that. And as far as I know, in my experience, I never heard our entire expectation about Jimmy K and the WSO is that he would go on there in an honored position. Not as some kind of stupid figurehead, but as like, if you know, Jimmy K did the 20th and 21st anniversary tapes, but he speaks well on those tapes. And when people speak well of Jimmy K, that's what they're speaking about. Not when he's sick, not when he's in the hospital, not when he's dying, but he's like in his prime. And for 10 years or so, especially in 1970s, everybody had a phone number in the world. If you had trouble with your meeting or your service committee or whatever the hell, you could always get Jimmy K. Am I right there? And everybody in the whole fellowship, including Bo, called up Jimmy K. And he helped everybody. And then he got a little older, so what? That ain't a crime. I'm not but 58. I'm getting weird. Set me out 10 years. But, your memory starts to go a little bit. Now let's go further. I changed the rules. I changed it. Turned 50. Okay, anyway, when the basic test got approved by the committee in Miami, Florida, after the Miami World Convention. You remember I said the World Convention, the Lick Committee followed us. So Miami World Convention, Miami Lick Conference. And we weren't done after a week, so we stayed over in the clubhouse for a few more days and got done. And what we knew it was done was because people started saying, "Well, change this," and somebody said, "No, we reviewed that at the last conference. Well, change that." No, that's mentioned over here. So the committee as a whole, and I went out in the hall of Joseph and I said, "They're done. You can do another thing on this book." So that's when it was approved. I went back in, suggested they all raised their hands, and bam, there it was. The miracle happened. Down the beach with Jim M., Greg P., Joe Proctor, and myself, and Jim and Joe and our functions. And Greg Pierce was like our mentor or something. And we were like a triangle. And I was good at some things, and Jim was good at some things, and Joe was real good at some things. But together, we were a good team. And we were on the beach, and the book was done. And the moon was like that. And we were talking about various things in the future. And I said, I want us to go forward and do for others what's been done for us. And if we run into people that want to do some good thing for Narcotics Anonymous, that we help them. We give them the information that we have. We introduce them to people they need to meet. And we call those people and let them know they're coming, where they'll be well received, and ease the way for them. And I've become in the last few years, especially about, I think, the last 5 years, NA is a family. NA is a very large, extended family. It's not a tribe. If it were a tribe, I would be a chieftain. Where are my feathers? It's a large family. It's ruled by the moment, and who needs what, and who's got it, and how can we get it to them. And every one of us plays a role in that. And as a society, you people need to study your fellowship as a society. What are the social rules of Narcotics Anonymous? So in the big blank. Why don't we savage newcomers? What happens when we fuck over newcomers? Selling insurance, sex, whatever form it takes. The only thing really bad about sex is it gives them excuses to say, you don't really care about me, you just want to fuck me. So you don't want to fall into that trap. I mean, they're the thieves wants them to use, right? So if they can get over on you, they're good to go. So we don't, after a while, we learn the rules, and we don't let them get over us because we love them. We don't want them to die. And if you want to get laid on your own damn time. Rid of that. But anyway, that's our vision for the future, is that you people, and what you're learning, you share it with others, and they share it with others, you learn more, and build more, and have other conferences like this, and put it in writing. And if somebody comes up to you and says, I read what you wrote in that shit about Monster Seer. You say, exactly where is the Monster Seer? Page number. And what would you like to see corrected? And if at all possible, correct it. Who gives a damn? Let's get it right. And if it's right, let's put it in writing. Because it's not in writing, the disease can flow with it easier. And Camus said, writers write. Writers are driven to write. Our hands write.
The greatest gift that I got was from Bo, because Bo taught me how to write. Bo is, as far as I'm concerned, the scribe of Narcotics Anonymous. And if y'all don't know that, you should know that. He says, well, no, it's Narcotics Anonymous. No, Bo is the scribe for Narcotics Anonymous. It's how I always see him. It's how I think of him. It's what I believe to be true about him. I had a few days clean, and he said, well, you need to start writing. And I said, to who? And he said, well, to yourself. I was like, well, okay. He said, because you don't know anybody else yet. And I sat in his print shop in the middle of the night, and he handed me a pen and a piece of paper. And that has started a journey that has been incredible. And every time I pick up a basic text, Bo Sewell is in every page of it. And I'm grateful. I love you. You're my heart. And this is it.
If you want to take pictures, it's okay. The word's out. And the pictures. Well, I'm really appreciate that, Casey. You're one of my real sisters in this life. The powers of guilty is a fine reality, and I think what happens to us in our using is that we get we lose our grip on reality, honestly, along with drugs. And when you can't find reality, that's the point. They put you in jail or bury you or put you in a hospital. And, the road back is still like a real God-given, mysterious thing to me. And, I was, when I share up here, nice experience, strength, and hope, and it's not necessarily right or wrong, it's just, the best I can come up with right now. And from past experience, we're dealing with unimportant details and, crap all from the past. I'm going to try to delete as much of that, and I'll share the things that, the fearful part of me doesn't want you to know about. Not that they're bad things, but they're very close to my heart. For one thing, I was sort of twisted by the fact that as I grew up, I became more and more aware that my dad's dad, my grandfather, had committed suicide. And that was all the more bad because he had been a multimillionaire on the gold standard. So I grew up wondering, well, money must not be the answer, more than most people would because of that. And also, if you're rich or famous or whatever, I'm not rude and polite, I hope, but I'm not necessarily impressed on money or a title. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I met Eddie Martin, a country music star, and he was at the edge of the athletic field at Georgia Tech. And he was just a guy standing there, and he was nice to me. He wasn't too nice, but he was just, just a regular guy. And he was